Good evening, and we are live. How are you, Steve?
Fine, my friend. How's it going on
Yeah,
this
really good.
pleasant Friday evening? As always, it's always great to
Yeah,
see you, Paul.
weeks. Let's turn me sound down. Weeks gone really, really quick. So
I know. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. They do,
I tell
don't they?
you,
You know,
yeah,
my mother always said to me, when you hit 40, the weeks and the months and the years will fly by. And I used to say, never, never. But I tell you what, there's no true words then, is there? You know what I mean? And when you hit 40, it seems like a week is like the equivalent of a day. You know what I mean? For me, it's just like gone so fast this week. It's crazy, mate. You know what I mean? It is. It's
it's
time's
a long
flying.
time. Yeah, it's a long time since I was 40. So but yeah, the weeks do go really, really quick. And it was lovely to see you again on Wednesday. So for those who didn't know, I was up in Manchester for the football on Wednesday night. Brought my two boys up, and one of them came in, and I saw Steve's tank for the first time. And as a couple of people have said that have seen it already, it looks better in person than it does in pictures. So I've got to say, Steve, it's a masterpiece. I've got to say,
Oh,
it is
I
superb.
won't go. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, I won't go. Won't go that far. I look at it as like it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, mate. It's yeah, it does its thing. It's yeah, I'm quite happy with it. To be fair, you know what I mean. I am very pleased with what I've done, but can always get better in it. We always strive to get better, don't we? Do you know what I mean? And learn more, don't we? You know, in this hobby, that's what I do anyway.
I
Always try
think,
to
yeah,
use my knowledge a bit more, you know, learn a bit more and stuff about everything. You know what I mean? And then hopefully I can pass it on to, like I said, new people in the hobby, people who reach out to me, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. You know, obviously I don't know everything. You don't know everything. People don't know everything. You know what I mean? But the more we can learn, the better it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
I agree. I think sometimes we're harsh on ourselves when we're always striving
Yeah,
to improve the tank.
yeah,
And sometimes if you look at yours, you'll say, well, there's this wrong, there's that wrong. You're not happy about
absolutely.
that. I look at it, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's a really, really good tank because I wouldn't
yeah,
overthink it. I wouldn't see maybe the minutiae and stuff like that. Where you think, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. I look at it, I
yeah,
see a color, fish that are bloody massive. You got chromis that's almost as big as a powder blue. I know we joke about it, but I look at it thinking, gee, that is as big as the powder blue
yeah, yeah,
almost, other than the kind of the torso and around the edges and that. And then
yeah,
that bubble coral, because I always think bubble corals are branching because I've always had a branching one, but I didn't realise that you've got. I suppose it's called a wall
yes, that,
bubble,
yeah,
isn't it? Because if they're not
yeah. That's what you would
branching, they're
call it. Yeah,
usually wall. And I realised it's got a huge mouth on it. So I looked at it and I said to
yeah,
you, didn't I?
massive.
That looks a really different shape in terms of the bubbles and everything else. And of course it is
Yeah,
because
yeah,
whilst it's um, whilst it's a bubble coral, it actually looks very different to the branching ones, I think.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I agree. I do. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, when I got that, I've said it. They've said this story before. When I got I got it from Oasis in Salford, and the
yeah,
guys that he was literally unboxing it. They was literally just unboxing it out the boxes. Yeah, and I said, "What is that?" And he put it in. It'd been in his tanks for maybe like 15 minutes or something, 20 minutes, and it was only tiny. It was only about that big. Yeah, maybe
yeah,
about 4 or 5 inches or something. And I said, "Oh, that the colours of that, they was already coming out." And I was like, "What the hell is that?" I didn't know I was new to it. And he said, "Oh, it's a bubble coral." So I said, "Oh, I've got to have that. I can't. I'm working. I'm never going to come back to it." And Eddie, you know what I mean? He said
yeah.
to me,
No,
"No
Eddie,
problem."
yeah,
He said to me, "I said, how much do you want for it?" He went, 60 quid. I said, "Bargain, mate. I'll have it." And I got it literally there and then. But he said, "Listen, I've only just got it in. You know, I usually rest them, but it's
yeah,
entirely down to you." I said, "Listen, I'll take the chance for 60 quid." And I took it. And I think it was probably one of the best £60 I've ever. In fact, it was the best £60 I've ever spent on a coddle. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just grown and grown and grown. It's absolute, what is it? Good foot, 13 inches long, 14 inches long, I'd say. You know what I mean? It's nearly the width of the tank. You know what I mean?
yeah,
When it's fully extended. So yeah, I love it, mate. It's definitely one of the favourite tanks, and it's actually out. The lights have just gone out now. And let me see if in fact you might be able to see it actually. Let me see if I can quickly just quickly just you see all its tentacles out and everything. Let me just switch this light on.
Which quite often, when you look at Chalice, they do that, and Scollies do that, and quite a lot of LPS do that as well, don't they?
There we go. Let's sit there.
See, that doesn't look like a bubble. Well, what I would
No,
it doesn't look like.
that's all.
See the bubbles.
That's all the tentacles, and here's its mouth. Of one side of its mouth.
Yeah, you can't
see
really. Oh, I see the mouth. Yeah, yeah. I can see the mouth. Whereas on a branching, they don't really. Well, not I've noticed they don't have a mouth. Certainly not like that. That's more like a mouth that a nem would have.
Well, just before I came on here, yeah, I dosed some of that coral power food, you know, because I do it sometimes during the day, but I also do it at night time.
Yeah.
You know, when the tentacles are out, and this has obviously sucked some of it up, because you can see, just look at the size of the tentacles that are just on it. Just crazy, mate. And those tentacles only come out really mainly, you know, at the night time when it's feeding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
do they sting really, other things, Steve?
Mate, yeah.
They're killers, are they?
If those tentacles touch something, mate, whatever it touches will be getting stung. Yeah, 100%. And yet you would never have thought that from a bubble coral, would you? I wouldn't have thought they was very potent. Do you know what I mean? But in a way, they're a bit like this. They're dead sticky, yeah. But in another sense, they're a bit like an anemone in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like a jellified, like a jelly, bit of a blob sort of thing. But the sweeper tentacles are stingy, mate. Yeah, you know what I mean? It is strange though. And when those sweeper tentacles come out, like, I mean, remember when I had that Monty Porter? I had a piece of red Monty Porter there, yeah, and it stung it to death, mate. It went white. It completely rid of it. You know what I mean? So anything that goes near it, yeah, it doesn't last long, mate. To be fair, which, yeah, it's a bit of a shock.
And of course, with wall corals, you can't usually or easily frag them, can you? With branching, obviously, just get some clippers and you can just clip it off. But I know certainly with wall hammers and stuff like that, I haven't really heard of anyone. I'm sure there is someone who's successfully fragged, and I'm sure there may be someone in the chat has heard of someone fragging them.
Yeah.
But you don't usually frag wall corals, do you? As a rule, no, I don't think. No. I haven't seen. You don't see that many around, and maybe that's the reason. No. If you could frag them easily, there'd be more around, wouldn't there?
And I think if you cut through the flesh, especially this flesh on the wall, I think the likelihood of it dying, of one piece of it dying, is quite high. But then you've got running the risk of the whole thing dying, aren't you? You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I would never. I mean, unless the actual flesh part of it separated, you know, so it went, say, in two different parts.
Yeah.
Maybe then you could maybe cut it. You would be able to cut it because all you're cutting through is skeleton. But I mean, would I really want to cut it up? I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know. Never say never.
Mickey's saying it's always easy to say to someone else, go chop it up like you guys did to me when I fragged that rainbow chalice. Yeah, go and do it. Would you frag your rainbow chalice?
No. Never, mate. Never. I'm not chopping that up.
Right, let's go through the chat and then we'll come back to some other things. So let's see who's there. Good evening, Haley, as always. John, I welcome. I bet you're pleased after Wednesday's result, because I know you're a United fan. You put a little comment in there last Friday, and also picking up a chalice early next week. So it'd be good to know, John, what kind of chalice you picking up. Hiya, Techers. Tony's in the house. Good evening to you, Tony. Hiya, Cotty's Reef. UKM of the 120. Hi, Howard. Yeah, hope everyone is well.
Yeah.
Hi, Darren. Darren was the one who wanted your Raja. How's the Raja settling in anyway, Steve?
Love it. Lovely, mate. Absolutely lovely. I've sent you pictures over, haven't I? Oh, mate. It's and those day glows always, mate. Oh, God, they opened up. I had them in, nowhere were like an hour. And they were both fully open, mate. Like, literally, like, seen the other ones that I've put in, I think they're getting a bit too much flow. So only half of them opened up. But I think, you know, because of the MP40, I've put them more closer to that MP40 now. The other zoas, they're used to that, which are right on top of the rock. and they open all the time. So I don't know whether to keep them there for a few more days to see, or whether that might be detrimental, you know, if I leave them there, because I don't want them to get that peed off that they don't open up at all. Do you know what I mean? Or whether I should move them, I don't really know.
They're quite hardy, so they're rainbow
Yeah,
incinerators, but they have been
yeah, that's
kept
right.
in
Yeah.
fairly low light because I didn't have much room, so they haven't fully coloured up. So maybe put them a little bit lower. It might be
Right.
more the light than the flow, because they haven't been. I
Yeah.
mean, I've got them in one of the other tanks when they're really high up, and the polyps come out really large, and the lashes on them are really long. So I know that they're okay in high light, but that
Yeah.
particular frag, because there's what 8 polyps or something on it, I'd put them in slightly
Yeah.
lower light and then let them adjust, and then put them back to where
Right.
they are. So those
Right.
day glows, I'm so glad that I was able to deliver them, because I found
Oh,
day
mate.
glows. I posted Ross 2 lots of day glows. This was last year, and they got into his tank and they both melted. So, and
Straight away.
yeah, within about a week, within a
Wow.
few days. So day glows are quite well known for melting. So I don't think they
Well, I'm
travel
not.
very well. So I was quite pleased to just stick them in a
Oh,
bag
mate.
and put them in the car rather than having 24 hours in the post.
I'm not. I'm what do you call it? I'm not gonna jinx myself. I don't want to jinx myself, because every time I do say something, it always jinxes me. You know what I mean? So, but all I'm gonna say is, like, for the past few days, they've settled in perfect, no signs of stress or anything. And I put them in an area where they're not getting tons of light. They're in like a crack, you know, like a crack, like a crevice type thing, where they're getting just enough light, yeah. But they're also not getting battered by flow. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to stress them out in any way, shape, or form. And they both. I came home today, because when when you go to work, obviously when I go to work in the morning, the lights are off. And I came home and I was like, when you get new coral in a tank, you're
Yeah.
excited, aren't you? And you're like, you want to make sure that everything's fine. First thing I do is I don't even say hi to the missus or the kids. I come in and look straight at my tank. I'm like, right, let's have a look. And I looked at the tank, and the day glows were just right out. Two big beautiful polyps, huge polyps there, mate. 10 out of 10. So far, so good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, the good thing, they was in a bit more water than usual, because they weren't in a little pot. They
Yeah,
was in a bag of water.
yeah,
And then when I put them
yeah,
under your light in the bag, one of them was open, which was really good. I mean, to be fair, they'd only been out of my tank for 5.5, 6 hours before they got to you.
yeah.
So that's nothing. And so that they should be all right. But I think you got utter chaos, which I think are really nice zoas. And I think they're just a little bit step up in terms of their brightness and their coloration. But yeah, they're really nice. So I'm glad. I think
Oh,
they
I
do
love
really
them, mate.
well.
Oh, I hope so, mate. I hope so.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a look. So Skids is in the house. Good evening to you. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Joanne. We've got Stu's Reef. And hi, Julianne.
Julie.
Coral Essentials Europe.
Yes,
So
Phil.
hi,
How's it
Phil.
going,
How
Phil?
you doing? So for next week, Steve, you'll be doing a giveaway, won't you? Because Phil's been
Another one, yeah.
offer up some more
Absolutely.
powders and coral food. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure the
Well,
details. So we're going to do that next week rather than this week,
yeah,
because you can advertise it and then hopefully pull in some more people that might
absolutely.
be interested. So that's for next week.
Yeah, so next week is Phil's kindly giving us the coral essentials, all the corals and the trace, the calcium, the magnesium, and the alkalinity trip
Oh,
with
okay, it's the
with the
foundation.
trace the bottles. Yeah,
Cool.
all of it. Yeah, 500 free 500 ml bottles. So they're going to be going out on a giveaway next week. So definitely tune in to be in it to win it. So that'll be going next week. Yeah, but like I said, I'll post it on Instagram and stuff anyway,
Yeah,
and
nice one.
the rest. So yeah, massive thanks, Phil. Appreciate that, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, MK Reefer. Julian, good evening to you. Hiya, Chris.
Evening, Julian.
UK Reef Bro, good evening to you. We've got Cornish Reefer. We've got
Evening.
Mr. Drippy. How are you,
Rippy,
sir?
as always.
Yeah.
Yes. Full play time.
Southeast Reefer. Hiya. Mickey Boy. I've seen him now. Hi, Stefan. How are you? Mara.
Evening, Stefan.
There
Right.
we go. We
Evening.
nearly said hello to everyone, even to Sky Marine.
Yes.
AB Reef. And then I think that's right. Where's the other stooge? I think you're talking about Jay. So Jay's out tonight, and he's out next Friday as well, isn't he? So he won't be joining us.
Yes.
I'm sure he has been doing his hair and also probably putting his shopping away and trying to sort out his lighting so he doesn't look like the Bartman. But we'll see in a couple of weeks whether he's actually solved that or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. Earlier on, if you just joined, Steve was showing his bubble coral. He's got a walled bubble coral that I saw this week, and because all the tentacles are out, you can't really see many bubbles at the moment. But a lovely piece. Hiya, PJ Goblin. And we're nearly caught up. And hi, our reef community worldwide. And Paul, how you doing? So let's have a look to see where we go. We've got Mr. Carl in the house. So Carl, yeah. So Carl's got a new YouTube channel, another one.
Yes.
I sub to it. Some good videos already on there, Carl. See, you got the Red Reef 200 XL. And he's got the Gen 6 over it, like yourself.
Yes. Yeah, should be a good tank. That looking forward to seeing the build of that tank. As always, it's always fun watching Carl go through his tanks like we go through eating our tea, don't we? You know what I mean? But it's great fun. I love him. I love the guy. He's funny.
It does make me laugh. And there's Tony saying, avoid wall corals. You can't frag it like branching coral.
Yeah, very true.
Oh, and John's picking up a jelly bean chalice. Nice one, John.
Oh, yes, nice. Yes, beautiful.
And then there's a Raja being sold at Abyss for 23 quid inch
it's
size frag.
Fake. There's a lot of those dodgy ones going about. They don't look. I've seen some of them. They don't look nothing like when you see a true one, like a real true specimen of a Raja. Yeah, you know it straight away. You can see them straight away. You know, like the quality of it. I mean, I was looking through on Instagram and on what's it called, YouTube. You know, just searching it, Raja, Rampage, and stuff, and like, you know, the best way to keep it, you know, healthy, like we were just talking about before, learning a bit about each individual coral. That's what I do. You know what I mean? Try and get the best, so I can give it the best chance of survival. Do you know what I mean? And people were saying, like, if you leave it here, higher up, blah blah blah, it'll probably dull. Lower down, it gets a dark green with dead bright yellow eyes and stuff like that. And there was a guy, and I'm sure I've saved it on YouTube. Maybe I'll put a link on my Instagram. You want to see his, mate? Wow, I couldn't believe it. The actual bait was all green, like the darkest green, I've ever seen. But the eyes on it, yellow eyes, they look like the sun, mate. It was that bright. I was like, oh, but it was a big one. It was about the size of a dinner plate. It was it was absolutely incredible. And I was like, oh my God, if mine turned a quarter what that looks like, I'll be over the moon, mate. You know what I mean? It'll probably be my best coral in the tank if that was the case, mate. It was just looked absolutely incredible. But like you said, different parameters in your tank, different, you know, lighting, different, you know, higher nitrates, lower phosphates, higher phosphates, whichever. Yeah, it all. How can I put it? It all goes towards what the coral will look like in the end, innit? You know what I mean? It's just the coral will adapt to it, won't they?
Time as well, because it'll change. It'll probably change a little bit of color. It'll color up, position your tank, different parameters of mine. That one's a little bit higher up than mine. Mine's on the sand bed, but I keep most of my chalice on the sand bed anyway. But just one thing, certainly Rajas have reduced in price because they used to be really expensive, but obviously there's more around, and they're quite quick growers. They're far quicker than a rainbow, because rainbows are really slow, but I think they're actually quite quick growers, the Rajas, because where I fragged yours and I fragged at the same time a piece for someone else, it's healed, so you wouldn't think that I'd actually fragged it in that time.
Wow.
But
Are they quick? Are they quick growing? Are they quick growing?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, I find not like your Hollywood, not like the Hollywood stunner that you've got. I mean, that really is a quick grower, but I found that the Rajas are quick growers.
Yeah.
So I think they're really, really nice. Yeah, because some people prefer There's one, I think it's a Sunny, where they don't have, because with the Raja, it's distinctive. You've got the black ring around the eyes, haven't you? But there's another one that's
Yeah,
yellow-eyed and green that
yeah,
some people
yeah.
mistake for a Raja, but it's not.
For a Raja,
It's
yeah,
not a Raja. Right, let's
yeah.
move on. Once wall coral start decaying, you lose all of it, which I've
Yeah.
never had a wall coral before, but I have heard that. Whereas with branching, obviously you can frag them. Where
You
we go?
can get wall hammer, the hammers, can't you? You know the
Yeah,
wall, you know the wall hammers, yeah. Yeah, I've seen loads of them, and they are great shapes. Some of them are like they're branching, you know, like they do like a V shape and stuff, but it's a wall hammer. And like you said, whereas if you get a hammer coral which is branching, 10 times out of 10 you're gonna frag that, and you should be successful with it, or successful enough. You know what I mean?
it's a good point by Mickey Boy around how do you get frag wall corals in the shot. I don't know. There must be a
Yeah,
way of fragging them. It's a bit like
yeah.
people say you can't frag scollies, but you are beginning to see more scollies being fragged, although it's very hard to do. And maybe of that, I haven't, not saying I haven't done it, but I
No,
don't really come across that many walled ones. But then I don't look for them because it's not something I would buy.
gosh, yeah.
Sent you a picture of our bubble on Instagram. I'll look out for that, Joanne.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, I
Yeah.
have a colony of Holy Grail grew from a bowed out polyp. Nice one.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got.
Yeah.
I've had loads of rampage over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, £39.
I see.
Yeah, they have certainly come
Yeah.
down.
I mean, they used to go. What did they used to go for? 90 quid,
They were
£80, £90 a
about
frag, £80 a frag.
50 to 60 quid per eye. I think
Wow.
I paid £100 for mine, and that was for 2 eyes. But they're a
Wow.
lot cheaper now. Like anything, it's like with
Yeah.
some zoas, like those day glow volcanoes. I've seen them on eBay, and sometimes you get ripped off on eBay, about £80 a polyp. But they used to be a lot more expensive. I mean, I got mine in a swap. I swapped actually a chalice for one polyp of the day glow, and now I've got 2 separate colonies of them. But yeah, you get that with zoas. I mean, when Utter Chaos come out years and years ago, that was quite expensive, but now they're really cheap. Although I've seen them a lot more expensive. I don't know why recently, because they grow
Yeah.
really, really quick. Got a question there. Mogsy, you got the new pH probe with the KH Keeper.
I did. Yeah. Yeah. The new one. Yeah. A lot better. A lot more stable, mate. You know, I've not had an issue with it, to be fair. You know what I mean? I did calibrate it actually 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Sorry, no, 3 days ago, the day before you came, Paul. So yeah, I did calibrate it, and literally, like, I stuck it in the calibration solution, and you know where you've got to wait 5 minutes for it to be proper calibrated. You get
yeah,
impatient, don't you? You know what I mean? I know it's only 5 minutes, but I was like, oh. Anyway, I think I cancelled after about 3 minutes or so. Tested it in the calibration solution, and it's absolutely spot on, mate. So yeah, a lot better. Whereas the older version, you could calibrate that, then you could put it in, like, say, a calibration solution of 7, and it'd come back at like 7.4 or 7.3. It'd be like way off, and yet you'd only just calibrated it. You know what I mean? You're like, what's it reading here? The
yeah.
solution's only 7.7.0, so how the hell is it 7 point? It was just it was just crazy, mate. But this one, yeah. Touch wood. Once again, I don't want to jinx myself, but it does seem to be a pretty decent piece of kit, to be fair. And I haven't had any. You know, like, I was having issues with, like, obviously the actual machine and stuff. You know, the readings was way off. Then it was saying, like, there was no reagent left, and it was all over the show, mate. Whereas this, touch wood, I haven't had anything, mate. You know what I mean? Everything's been fine. So yeah, I think I've got a machine that actually works. You know what I mean? Perfect. So fingers crossed.
I just about to say fingers crossed. In a couple of
Fingers
weeks or a
crossed.
couple of months, you'll have steam
Oh yeah.
coming out your
Oh,
ears because you've had a problem with it. So that's what. So the
oh, mate.
probe, is that the third version of the probe they've had? It must be, because
Yeah,
obviously they had
I
one with
think
the
it is.
Gen
Yeah.
1, then obviously
Yeah.
the Gen 2, and then this is the third
Yeah.
version. And it just shows you, doesn't it, how they learn from it. They bring out better probes, and
Yeah.
you give it
Yeah.
2 or 3
Yeah. Of
more years, they'll be on a 4th or 5th generation. And then
course they will. Yeah, for
speaking
sure.
of Reef Factory, they've got Did I see an auto feeder? I posted it on the group today, didn't I?
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, they've got everything, haven't they? They've got everything. I want to know when they're going to start making tanks, because I think that's going to be the next thing, mate. They've got absolutely everything to go in their ecosystem, apart from a tank, innit? You know what I mean? They've got everything. So I reckon at one point they will bring out their own tanks, a bit like Aquaforest did, where they brought their own tanks out, didn't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's exactly what they'll do, mate. I'll be blown away if they don't.
I know it looked. I mean, it looked very similar. It looked like a cross between an Eheim auto feeder and the Apex. I'm just trying to find it, but it looks just like a mix between the two. And then obviously it's set up and it communicates with the app. And I'm not too sure. What I read briefly was you put obviously your pellets or whatever in there, and then it tells you when it's nearly empty. So I don't know how it does that, because I get when you got a liquid, you say you put a litre in and you're dosing 10 mil a day. That's nice and easy. But I don't know how it can do that unless it's got something to do with the weight. But if you're putting flake in, that's hardly weighing anything at all. Go on.
Yeah, but the question is it going to say that you can put flake in it? Do you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, those machines are for the pellet style food, aren't they? You know what I mean?
I mix it up. So what I do, I crunch the flake up into little bits. I won't put a big piece of flake in there, because sod's law, what's going to happen as it turns round, it's going to block right across it, and then it'll just build up and build up, and then 4 days later it'll probably unblock, and all of a sudden you gush 4 days worth of food in there. So, but certainly I like the idea that obviously communicates. I mean, I've got the Apex one. I only ever have it on when I go away. But I mean, if you look at it, at least you can see whether it's working and stuff like that.
Really, let's be honest. Let's be honest there. Yeah, really. Yeah. How many people, to the truth be told, use an auto feeder all the time? As in a sense of, does anybody in this chat, use an auto feeder to just primarily feed their fish? Because I'm not being funny. Yeah, I would probably. Well, the only time I would use an auto feeder is if I'm going away, you know what I mean? Or I'm away for the night, or I'm away for the week, or whatever, That's the only time I would never, because 10 times out of 10, I'm at home all the time. So I feed my fish manually, you know what I mean? Even pellets and stuff like that, I feed them. So why? I don't understand, like, I mean, unless you work away, say, for instance, you know what I mean? Like the zoo, say he works away a lot on the trucks and stuff, then granted, you could have one like that, but I don't think I would ever use it, mate. To be honest, I don't know about what you think, mate, but I don't think I would use something like that. To be fair, I mean, have you got any on your tanks at this moment in time?
Right, so I'm just putting a poll up. So I've never done it before, so hopefully you can see a poll.
Oh, right.
And then you can vote for it. Now we can't see it on the StreamYard feed, but we can see it on there. See what people put. So basically, I've put I do use an auto feeder all year round. So either yes, no, I don't have one.
Now, have you?
I've got to be
able. So what should it come up on here?
It doesn't come up. First of all, can people see it? Because I've never used this before.
Oh, I can't see it. Oh, you've got to go. Obviously, you have to go on thing, won't you? I'm looking at it like this, but I'm on the StreamYard, aren't I? No, let me have a look.
So if someone can put on there, but can they see it or not? So someone's put yes. So I don't know if that's yes to the answer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. I can see it.
Okay, you can. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you can see it, mate. It's gone on it.
Right, so I'll just keep that open for a minute. Yeah, well, Haley said yes, we can see it. Thank you. The joys of technology, because we use StreamYard.
We do.
And we can't see it, can we? So
no. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
let me see. I'm just having a look to see if anybody actually uses these things down at the bottom.
Now I've seen people use it where they've got really big tanks or they've got loads of fish. So if they've got, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 amphias and they're feeding the tank 5-6 times a day, and then they use that because they can control the regular feeding. But outside of that, I haven't really seen that.
Yeah. Mm.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I don't think I would never use them. To be fair, like I said, the only time I'd ever use one is if I went away. You know what I mean? So it would for me, it's yeah, it'll be a waste. It'll be a waste of a piece of machinery. To be fair, but it'll be a bit like you, that Paul, setting up a KH keeper on the wall and actually setting it up. That's what it would be actually like.
Well, yeah. At some
You know
point,
what I'm
I need
saying?
to do it because it's embarrassing. I've had it. Well, it's on the wall, but I just haven't switched it on. It might not even work. I hope it does. When
Yeah,
I get round to it, I'm
and then
going to be
it runs
furious.
out of its warranty. Imagine you've run out of your warranty, then, mate. Think
Yeah,
about it.
I'll be on
Oh,
to a couple of people. Whether I'll get
oh
anywhere
yeah,
or not, I don't
yeah,
know. Right, I'm going to end the
yeah.
poll. So I've ended the
Yes.
poll. Oh, I can actually see it now. Right.
Okay,
So
sit.
do you use an auto feed all the time? 59% say no, 37% say don't have one, and 3% say yes.
So that says it all to me straight away.
Cool. Well,
Then
there
it
we go.
that says it all to me. So that's like basically a massive no. Nobody uses them. Do you know what I mean? So other than like I said, you're going away. And they are, you know what? Don't get me wrong. I think they're a great invention for if you're going away
Yeah.
and stuff, and you want to risk that. But how many times have you seen them fail? I mean, especially on reefing chats. That ultimate reef, I see one low, tons of them, mate.
Really?
Saying, oh, they got jammed. Yeah, you know it wasn't the EIM, it was the other one. What's the other brand called? Not the EIM
Don't know.
ones. And I meant and the actual it stuck. You know, as it was rotating, it stuck on.
Oh,
And it was
right.
like it gushed a load of food into the tank. And obviously,
Ouch.
give it away. You can imagine, mate, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Coming back to that, you know what I mean? And I just don't trust. I couldn't. I don't think I could trust something like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? Not
I've
something.
been using them. when I haven't
Yeah,
got someone who can feed the tank, then I've got two
yeah,
EHIMs because I've got 3 tanks and I've had 3 tanks for a while. I've got the Apex and I've got 2 EHIM. And I've got to say, I think the EHIM one's a really good one. It looks quite well built. I mean, I've even dropped it a couple of times and it still works. And I just think they're really good and just put battery in there. They're easy to set up and touch
yeah,
wood
for
when I've been
sure.
away. But then, of course, if I go away and someone's feeding, then I
Yeah,
always put little pots out of all the food. There was saying on Instagram, I think there was a reefer in America who's got a Nano tank, and she went away and she came back and the whole tank was cloudy where the person had overfed the tank, might have been an ammonia spike, everything just wasted. And but
yeah.
she doesn't
That
believe it was down to and them going into powerhead or anything like that. It was purely down to the ammonia was through the roof. But of course, if things die, it will be ammonia. But she believes it was
yeah,
overfeeding. And that's the thing. If you leave someone to feed your tank, then I do little pots, always do, and say, do not feed more than 1 pot per day. Because they say, because you people say, oh, well, the fish look
yeah,
hungry. They always look hungry. They're always
yeah.
in
Exactly,
a aren't they?
exactly. Exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why with those little things there, what I make my own food. Yeah, 5 of those cubes. Stick 5 of those cubes. Yeah, just five
Yeah,
every 2 days. That's it, mate. 5 of those cubes every 2 days in my tank. That's all my fish get fed. The rest of the time they go around eating the slight little bits of algae that's in it. You know what I mean? And then and then the day in between, I put what's it called? A little bit of a seaweed, a bit of seaweed in for the tangs. You know what I mean? But the clownfish eat the seaweed as well, so they all have a bit of a nibble at it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So they get fed enough. They don't look like they're dying anyway and starving to death. You know what I mean? So especially like they said, those chromas, they're eating some. I don't know what they're eating, but they're onto it, mate.
Absolutely. Right. So Darren's asking about how are the NEMs. So the NEMs are
Yes.
fine. They're still, I mean, I can't believe how much they wander. So they're still wandering every day around the tank. They've been all over the candy cane, and one yesterday was actually you couldn't see the candy cane because all the tentacles were around it. It actually just they've gone all around it, and it's moved today, and the candy cane's fine. So I can't
Yeah,
believe that. I mean, it's obviously stung it, but I think candy cane must be one of the most resilient corals to stinging because it used to sit next to a torch and it didn't make any difference to it. But yeah, the nems are fine. So I'm just waiting another probably 2 more weeks. So I would have had them, I think, about 5 weeks, and then I'm going to go and get another couple, and then gradually take the corals out. But I mean, I've got chalice in there still, got acan still in there, and they're fine. So I'm loving it. It's quite funny. We just come down each day, and the nems are in a different place. Come down from finishing work, it's in a different place. I mean, I wouldn't have. I know you can. People do a mixed reef that with the nems. I know you did for a little while, Steve, but these guys, just the 3 of them, just wander all over the shop, and they go underneath the rocks, and you can't find them. Then they pop up out. I mean, I try to feed them every week, but yeah.
You know what would be good is, I mean, if you had a camera on it, mate. You know, a camera, and then you sped it up.
Time lapse.
You know, like like a time lapse, yeah, overnight, and then see where they did. You know, like all through the night, what they did and all that. It'd be crazy. Or during the day, like you said, it'd be crazy, mate. They do wander all over the show. You know what I mean? I was fortunate that mine stayed in the right place for about a year, and then decided to move house. You thought, you know what, I need a bit of a move here, and then that was it. Then it was game over because it was so big. Well, you see it on the video. It was just so big that there's no way, mate. It was stinging everything. You know what I mean? It was, yeah. It could have wandered anywhere and stung anything. And I mean, I've got my chalice down there. Then I had my bubble coral, and oh, mate, no, I just couldn't risk that. And thankfully, it came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So no, look, they're lovely. I mean, I've got 2 different types of bubble tips at the moment, and I know I've read that there's some that if you put in, they give off a toxin that can poison the other. So I just got to be careful. Either I go to running carbon all the time, or I'll just be quite particular about what ones I get. But at the moment, just going for bubble tips. I've got the pink one and obviously a red one. It's now beginning to colour up. It was quite pale when I first got it. But now, you know, it's like when you put corals in and fish and all kinds of things, they start to get a fuller colour. So that's starting to happen. And I've got some nice little pellets that I got from AAC, and they're feeding on those. So that's going well. So I'm surprised how much they've moved, but I'm loving it with the nems. So eventually it'll be a whole nem tank. That's the plan. So we'll see how we get on.
That'll be great, mate. That'll be
right.
Great,
so
man.
There's another one. Then there's something else that looks like a Raja. Yeah, I think it's called Sunny.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's
Sunny
one. That's the one we were talking about. That's got the green. The green with the yellow eyes, but not got the black rings around the eyes.
And that's the one that I said when I said it was fake. Yeah, I didn't mean it as in a fake, but the one that looks like one, but it isn't actually. You know what I mean? It isn't actually a Raja. It does look very similar, but it's not the same.
Raja loves iodine. Raja loves iodine.
Yeah.
I must admit, I do dose the minor elements in the bigger tank, but because I use all for reef, that's got the minor. Now, whether that's enough or not, Mickey, on the other tanks, I don't need, and I probably need to do an ICP.
Yeah, I tell you what. Tune into my YouTube video on Sunday, and you'll see something about iodine. Yeah, my ICP test actually came through. I sent my ICP test off. Definitely tune into that because it was an eye opener for sure.
Yeah. So where else are we? Hiya, Scott. Yeah, Scott messaged me. Unfortunately, I wasn't up in Manchester for that long, so I would have stopped off at Scott's otherwise. But hopefully, when I'm back up there, Scott, I'll drop you a line and pop in and see you. Very fast grower. I'm assuming you're talking about Rajas.
Raja, yeah.
Hi guys, thinking of getting a carpet nem. Is there any downside? I must admit, I've never had a carpet nem, so I don't know anything about them. Steve, do you know much about them?
Yeah, I had one in this 350, and he got stuck in a power head. It stayed on the floor, and then decided to go for a wander, and got jammed into me MP10, and nearly nuked my tank out. And the only reason it never nuked my tank was because I was actually sat here, right in this same chair, while it actually did it. I did it actually, all you heard was the pump going. I was like, what the hell? And looked, and it all went cloudy as anything, mate. And I knew straight away what had happened, and it had floated up. And I had to do like a massive 50% water change, 60% water change, tons of carbon, running it all in. And thankfully, I never, what do you call it? Nothing ever happened. You know what I mean? But it was if I wouldn't have been here, and it happened, I think it would have nuked my tank completely. It would have nuked.
Hmm.
But that goes with anything, though. To be fair, that goes with any anemone. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Anything. If they get sucked in the power heads and you're not there at that
it's
time, or
soup, isn't
change
it?
the straight away, mate, it's game over. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's simple as that. But yeah, I mean, it's entirely down to yourselves. I mean, they're beautiful. If you look back on my videos, I'm going back 3 years ago or something, you'll see when the tank had very little coral in it, or had a few corals in it, and you'll see the carpet and then right, and it was used to be right in the back left-hand side of my tank, and you'll see it, and it was a beautiful, beautiful carpet and a lovely, lovely, stunning thing. But yeah, like all the enemies, mate, you're taking a risk, aren't you? You know, if you put them in your tank and they go on a wander, or they float up, you know, the foots get released or something, then they've got nothing to grab onto. They can't swim. They just like float around, and
Yeah.
that's when they get sucked into the power head. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's entirely down to the person. But I wouldn't, me personally, I would never have another
Mm.
enemy in this ever. Do you know what I mean?
So do you think it happens where they start to deteriorate and they're not very well and therefore they lose the grip?
Well,
Or I mean, I don't know
I
anything
thought
about it,
this.
so I just wonder whether actually a healthy one
Yeah,
is, unless they're silly enough to climb up the glass and then they go into
yeah,
it, which I know can happen. But in terms of, do they only float when they
yeah.
first get into the tanks? When it first come into the tank, I cupped it in,
Floating
I
about.
took it out the bag and
Yeah,
climatized it, blah blah blah. Put a pair of
yeah,
gloves on and I put it in my hand and then lowered it into the tank and put it in. I turned the power hose on because it was then bobbling around because obviously it needs
yeah.
to get its foot into a place. So
Wedge.
I
Yeah,
do wonder
yeah,
either where it's a silly ass and it wanders up the glass, or it's not very well, or it's not that
yeah.
healthy, and then obviously it detaches. I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows because I haven't. You know, these are the
I,
first lot of NEMs I've got, so I haven't got much experience with NEMs to
yeah.
be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky word that because I always thought that because it's like I thought like with that carpet and everything. I mean, I used to feed it actual shrimp, you know, actual
Yeah,
shrimps, yeah, full size ones. It was that big, mate, and I used to put it in. And feed it like once a week. That was it, mate. You know what I mean? And it used to take it in, curl up, eat it. But then, like you said, I always wondered. I thought, well, why did it release its foot from the place that it was in for months and months? Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, it was it ill, or did it get irritated by something, or what? You know what I mean? But like you said, once they floated, it's they're at their elements unless they latch onto something. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like a piece of rock or anything, then they're doomed. You know what I mean? They're just floating about, and then 9 times out of 10 they float into your power heads. You know what I mean? And then it's game over. Then if you're
yeah,
not in the house, you know what I mean for sure.
absolutely. Yeah,
But
I mean, I haven't got a
it's
power
sad.
head on this. Whether I can get away
Exactly.
with not having it, I mean, I haven't put one in there deliberately because of NEMs, and I don't want to mess around with a power head and everything else unless I have to. I'll have to see, because if I put more in and there's not enough flow and they're not very healthy, then obviously I'm going to have to get a power head. Then it's a case of what ones you actually get. And with this kind of one, I can't put an MP10 or something on the back. So then I have to get a Tunzi, but then with a Tunzi, you know, can you get a NEM guard for it? So I'll have to look into it, but we'll see. So yeah, so there is somebody fragging NEMs at the moment. I must admit, there is a BRS video that I think is about 6 or 7 years old, where they actually
Yeah,
set up a coral table. Have you seen it, Steve? And they
yeah,
frag
seen it.
NEMs, and basically you get,
Yeah,
and I must admit, I did wince when I saw it, and they use a
yeah, and they put
standing
it right
rod
through the
blade
mouth.
right through the
Yeah,
middle. And when I was doing the
yeah,
research on NEMs, I saw some others about people disagreeing that's the wrong thing to do, and others saying, well,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't feel
Yeah,
right. Yet we frag
no.
corals. I know it's not a coral, but it just doesn't feel right to me. So I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, but I totally agree. I didn't think it was right. You know, like when they cut them, like right through the center of the mouth, and then put them in iodine. And no, I just no, I don't think that. I mean, but then it comes on a point where you know, like you see certain people, certain individuals, they go, my enemy split. Like my bubble tips. When I had those bubble tips, remember I had those bubble tips in my tank? Yeah, they were multiplying like rabbits, mate. They were like all over the show every time, every couple of days. I had another one, and I'm like, what in the hell's going on here? And then
Mm,
somebody was saying, oh, well, they do that when they're happy. And then another person on another forum said, oh, yeah, they do that when your nutrients are high and or they're stressed. And I'm like, well, which one is it? You just don't know, do you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have their opinions, so you
I,
never know. You know what I mean? But
I've
I
heard
mean,
that they
mine
split
multiplied.
when they.
Yeah,
I've read they split when they're stressed, but I'm not too
yeah,
sure
with
we
the
actually
stress. Yeah,
know. I don't know. And to your point,
yeah,
others do say they're happy. So you get, and it could be the
I
answer.
know.
The answer is correct. When they're happy, they split, and when they're stressed, it's survival and they split. I don't know.
Yeah, could be both.
I just hope they split
Totally
and it
agree.
saves me buying others, but we'll see. Right, so we've got a
Yeah, you
couple of
want it to
questions here.
split.
So how's the Tunzi, Steve? I don't know if you're talking about the auto top off.
It's a. All I'm going to say is it's going to be probably a real good chat on the Tundra. At this moment in time, it's still at Tunzi HQ, the distributor for the UK. And at this moment in time, I've still not got it. So it's been 3 weeks now. 3 weeks without an ATO. So I'm pretty peed off, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
Um, but like I said, I mean, it's irrelevant because I think it's supposed. I've spoke to Steve from Oasis, where I bought it from. He's been in contact with him, and he supposedly said that he's going to be sending me another one out, another sensor.
yeah,
But he's not reached out to me. I've sent three emails. He's not reached out to me. He's got me a number, telephone number. He's not phoned me. So yeah, not very good customer service. And the truth be told, you know what I mean. But I mean, what could I do? In theory, I'm going to get this, and I'm probably not even going to set it up because, like I said, I'm going to be buying the Red Sea one when that
yeah,
comes out in the spring. So at this moment in time, I'm just topping it up manually. I know roughly on how much how much the tank evaporates anyway. You know what I mean? So 2 liters of it is Calquasso, and I tend to put about 1.5 liters, 1 3/4 liters of RO in, and it keeps it spot on, in the return chamber. So I've just been doing that every day, really, to be fair. But yeah, it's not good. I mean, you don't know how much you rely on an ATO until you've not got one. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
you forget, don't you? I forget. I don't know about you guys, but I forget me. You know what I mean? And then at the last minute, as I'm going out to work, I'm like, oh God, I've not filled it up because I know that if I don't fill it up by the time I go to work, yeah, I'm my pump, yeah, it's going to run dry in that
yeah.
chamber. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not the best, mate, but you know what? What could I do? It's at their HQ. So
Mm.
there's nothing I can do about it, is there?
I,
You know what I
I
mean?
always think the test of a good company is if you have a problem, how they put it right and how
Absolutely.
quickly and how well they put it right. Because you don't know
Absolutely.
how good a company is. Because I mean, whatever you buy, there will always be something that's gone wrong. Because you're the first person I've heard of that the Tunzi ones. I'm sure there's others, but very
Yeah.
few of them you
Yeah.
hear have gone wrong. But
Yeah.
the fact that so few of them go wrong, when something happens, you would have thought they would pull out all the stops. Now, if they haven't got the parts in the country, blah blah blah. I'm not being funny. It don't take much to send a sensor in the post from Germany to UK. Now, I rate Tunzi. I've had lots of Tunzi pumps, and
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got the same auto top off as yourself and stuff like that. But I think when it's 3 weeks and the company hasn't communicated with you, that is really poor service. I know we
I
call
agree.
out things that when it's really good, and we say some really good
Yeah.
things about companies, and we're not sponsored. But come on,
No.
Tunzi, it's a good brand. It's been around for donkey's years, and you can't sort out a sensor. That
Exactly.
just gives us
Or mate, you know, or for me, mate, even if they turn around and said, "Look, we've not got the sensors in stock yet.
yeah,
We've not got them in stock, or we exactly like you said, we're short on them. We're expecting a new batch in April, whatever. Yeah, just an email to say to confirm that they received it and that they acknowledged it. Yeah, but to just ignore you. That's the one thing that's peed me off the most is
yeah,
is the ignorance. Do you know what I mean, mate? I mean, people used to slag the Red Sea tanks off, yeah, saying, "Oh, they blew up or they split and this and the other." I've got a friend whose tank was what 3 years old, 3.5 years old, yeah, and it started to get a few bubbles in the corner of his tank, just bubbles, yeah. He sent a few pictures off to Red Sea, and Red Sea gave him 70% off on me off a new tank. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and within 2 days it was at his door. So what's all that about? Now that is customer service, if you ask me, mate. And people used to slag Red Sea off. You know what I mean? I'm talking about a sensor. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a comment about Red Sea, and we'll have to agree to disagree because
Yeah.
I like Red Sea stuff.
I
know you've had a
I
problem,
don't.
but I had Touchwood. I haven't had a problem
Yeah,
with Red Sea, and I've had tanks for 8 years
absolutely, mate.
and quite a lot of their stuff. But it's been like Tunzi.
Yeah.
I think Tunzi's really good, but I think they've let you down on this occasion.
Yeah,
And I think the fact is, I don't think they've been in touch, have they, Steve? That's the.
No, they've not been in touch. This is the thing. I've sent 3 emails. Yeah, I will. At first, I was going to post the emails up. Yeah, and because I was that annoyed, and I thought I'm getting peed off with it all. Yeah, and you guys know me. I'm honest as they come. I don't beat about the bush. Yeah, something's good, then I tell them. If it's crap, then I say it. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Yeah. If it works, I say it, and if it doesn't, I say that as well. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not sponsored or anything. Yeah, if it's sponsored, I tell you guys, I'm not sponsored by anything. Yeah, but to not communicate with a person who's paid 175 quid for a sensor. Yeah. Now I know you said that they're very few and far between, and they are, Paul. But if I have searched online, yeah, and there is people with the same issues where the sensor is under the water. Sensor has gone under the water and it's still dosing the water in. Yeah. So whereas it should, the moment that water hits the tip of that sensor, that optical sensor, it should stop. But it wasn't. It was still dosing in, and that's exactly what it was doing in mine. Yeah. And then when the sensor was submerged in the water, where your dosing is, yeah, then it's getting a bit of a film on it in it. So then it's just that's it. Then it's knackered, mate. It'll just keep dosing and dosing and dosing water in your tank.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, for me, it was like, why have you not reached out? Why have you not communicated to her? Just tell if you've not got them in stock or you've not got them at all over here. No problem. Let me know. You know what I mean? That's all I want to know. But to not communicate, not even send me an email, and I'll show the emails to anybody who wants to see them. All 3 emails, sent them nice, pleasant emails. Yeah, wasn't nasty. The first one, second one, a little bit. I'm not. I hope you received my first email. Blah blah blah. And then the third one was just like, yeah, you know what? What's going on? Have you not received? You've obviously received these emails. All I want to know is what you've been doing with sensor. Like, when am I going to get another one? When am I going to get the actual machine back? You know what I mean? Because I sent the whole thing off, and and I've still not received an email from him. So it's like, or a phone call. I just don't understand the logic. I don't understand the process of it. You know what I mean? To be fair,
I take it you haven't got the telephone number. Could you get the telephone number? Because I don't know.
I phoned it.
Yeah, go on.
I phoned it and it just rings.
Oh, really?
It just rings through. Nobody answers. It just rings and rings and rings, mate. And I'm like, what the hell? Everything I've tried, mate. Yeah. Even my missus says, you know what? You've been fairly calm with this. You know what I mean? And I was like, I know. And I don't know where I stand in getting money, because I thought I could get my money back from the shop and say, listen, you deal with this now. That's what I thought. Yeah. But I don't think I can. I don't know what my consumer rights are, because
how long have you had it? How long you had it, Foster?
7 months, 7 months, mate.
Oh, you're in.
And it's a 2-year. It's a 2-year guarantee you get on them from the shop.
I see. I think you probably could have taken the whole unit back and got a brand new.
They had them in stock, but they didn't have them in stock. That's why they sent it off to them. Do you know what I mean? Because they said they've not got, because they've got none in stock, so we've got to send it off to them to get replaced or get repaired or whatever. Yeah. And I said, right, well, okay, then no problem. And this is where we are 3 weeks later, still in the same situation. Do you know what I mean? But
so I don't know where you stand now, in as much as they haven't.
I don't know where to stand.
I don't know. If,
no.
You could go to trading standards and see what they say. If Oasis have got them in stock now, maybe they can sort something out. I don't know, because certainly if it's 6 or 7 months, I don't see any reason why you can't get a replacement. The problem is if they haven't got a replacement.
That's it. That's what it said.
There's some comments in there. Go to trading standards,
mate. If it's gonna go, if it goes any longer than a week, I do, mate. To be honest, that's exactly what I want. Give me info and sort.
As in the EU.
And we'll sort it as in the EU.
Yeah, 12 months if effective.
Well, what is you get your money back in 12 months? within 12 months of it.
A full refund in shop. So what a couple people are saying here is you could get a full refund because you could argue if it's faulty they can't replace it because they haven't got it in stock. Therefore, you get a refund and you get your money back. And then if you wanted to, and obviously then you do what you need to do.
What's the Irish guy there say? Dare I say it? You bought it before Brexit, then you stuff. I didn't buy it before Brexit, did I?
No, because you've only had it 7 months.
Well, they had it 7 months, yeah.
So
2 years warranty, and just go to the shop for an exchange or credit.
Knock on the door, says Chris. So I'd go back to Oasis.
I wouldn't need a credit. I wouldn't need a cricket bat. I tell you, mate. Trust me, I wouldn't need a cricket bat.
Maybe go back to Oasis and then see if they've got one in stock. Then you want that. If not, see if you can get a full refund because they haven't come up with the goods.
I know. I mean, I don't want to. You know what I didn't want to do yet is I didn't want to make up a load of commotion. You know what I mean? Because I like Oasis, yeah, and they've always and the guys there have always helped me. So and I've been nice. You know what I mean? I've been like really pleasant with it all, yeah. Well, like I said, I've got tons and tons of corals, yeah, with thousands of pounds in my tank with no ATO on it, yeah. Now the ATO that I bought for 179 quid. Dumped a load of water in my tank, yeah, which sent my salinity to 1.021, yeah. Is Tunzi going to refund me all my money and my corals all die? I don't think they are they? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're not going to do that, are they? So for me, it was a case of like, I'm being nice now. I've been really pleasant. I've been really laid back with it all. But now it's coming to the point where I need to do something because this guy's not answering his phone, not answering his emails, yeah. Even when the guys from Oasis have sent him emails, yeah, they still haven't replied to them guys, mate. So what's all this about? This is what I can't understand, mate. I just can't get it in my head what his problem is, who the guy is. You know what I mean? I don't understand it for the life of me. But I mean, I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. What can I do? I don't know where he lives. Don't know where it is. I don't know what to do. Well, I know where the thing is.
I think you go back down south. You go back to Oasis. Because you bought it from them, so your contract is actually with them, not Tunzi. And then I don't know if they've got one in stock, can they replace it? They might have them back in stock now, I don't know, Steve. Or see if you can get your money back, like Paul said in the chat.
Yeah.
Not sure. Right, we're way behind. So Scott was up when you was talking about the pH probe. I think this is what it relates to. How did you know it's a new one? I've got the plus. It's just stupidly inaccurate. So how do you know you got the latest one, Steve?
The older one was the black. It was like a black pen. The older version was like a black pen with like it had like a little bit of a cover over where the sensor was. But any sort of gunk or anything used to get blocked, you know, on the sensor, on the actual sensor reading part of it. Yeah. Now these ones that you got here, it's all glass and it's got like a glass ball on the bottom of it. You know what I mean? So it's not encased. It's just like a whole glass one. This one, 10 times better, Scott. In fact, yeah. And so it can't get gunked up or anything like that or any crud on it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's how you can tell. One's all glass and one's all black.
Okay, that's fair enough. Right, way behind. So I'm just going to skip through a few of them, if I may. Yeah. So feeding is the nicest bit of maintenance you get a show. Yeah, absolutely. UK Reef Bro feed. Using auto pellets every morning at 11 a.m. and feed frozen manually in the evening. Right,
fair play.
Just going to close down.
Yeah, fair play.
Right, so thank you. Yeah, a few people, a bit late now, but a few people said that, the chat, the poll was on there. So thank you for those who did say that. Right, okay, there's Carl. I lost 3 fish when I moved house and normal zoas. With the tank crashed and mushroom toxins killed everything. Just got 2 clowns and the clove polyps left.
Oh, that was his.
Yeah.
I think you won the Nano one, wasn't it?
And there's one there. The poll needs a full focus. Yeah, how many have dropped the auto feeder in the tank and never used it again? I've fortunately been okay with that because I've always had a cover. So I've done it actually through the cover. And so you've got to make sure that the pellets are really small or the flakes really small as it just builds up. I find if you use the really small pellets, you're okay.
Yeah.
And it falls through. So yeah, I've managed to not drop it in there, but I feel your pain if you've done that. Only use the Eheim one, tried and tested. Yeah, absolutely. I think I rate them. I think they're really good.
Yeah.
Steve, that Y split, it's on its route to you. I think that's for you, yeah.
Seckers reached out. I bought that splitter dinner, and I think he felt a bit sorry for me because they always seem to snap on me. So he said he's got a spare one there if they want it. I was like, oh, by all means, mate, I appreciate that. So I really appreciate it, Seckers Reef. Nice one. Yeah, cheers, bud.
There's a familiar name there. So Mark Hebb. That's who I bought.
Yeah, Mark Hebb.
That's who I bought my Raj off originally, whenever it was, because I think Mark was one of the first to get it in the UK, if I remember rightly.
He's a good guy, Mark.
Yeah.
So incredible. He had some incredible, and then I'm sure his tank crashed.
Or is it? I haven't seen him on Facebook or anything like that for ages.
I'm sure Paul will know. RCW will know. But I'm sure he said that he lost a lot of coral because I don't know if he had like an outswing or what, but I'm sure it was something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure he started to have a tank crash on it. Mark, but his tank was really, really, really nice.
Yeah, I've got some other pieces from him over the years as well. I can't remember.
Oh, I got my thingy off him, my Holy Grail.
Oh, did you?
Mark, yeah. And he had a finger there as well, Mark. Sorry about that. He had an Australian gold. He had an Australian gold, yeah, and it was the brightest Australian gold torch of. Oh, mate, it was like incredible, yeah. And I was like, I need one of them. So I said, when you frag it, let me know. Put my name is on one of them, and he's like, I will do. And then he said he wasn't fragging it for a while, so I was like, when no rush. When you do, let me know, yeah. And he said, right, no problem. And then lo and behold, I said to him, I've contacted him a few months later, and he's like, oh, I had a disaster and this, that, and the other. He went, oh, I lost a lot of coral, a lot of my LPS and stuff. So, and he lost that torch. I was like, oh, mate, you're joking. I was gutted. I didn't get one of them, but it was incredible.
So there's a comment there. I need AirPods. I probably do actually. I've actually got a pair somewhere. I'm trying to think where they are, but I have got some AirPods. I do. Yeah. I mean, I'm so used to using these now. When I'm at work, I use these as well on my laptop, and I could use. I mean, actually get wireless ones from work, but I don't know why I just like these. They're probably a bit of a pain, and once you've got wireless ones, you don't think of anything else. But I've always used these. But yeah, it's a fair point. I should really put the AirPods on these. Maybe one day. It's a good question there, Steve. So to both of us, do you have one brand of equipment on a tank, or is it a mix of equipment? So I don't deliberately go and have one brand. If I look on the DD900, I've got Ecotech power heads. I've got an Ecotech return pump, and I've got Ecotech lights.
Yeah.
I've got the Nios skimmer, and I've got the Clarity roller filter. So I don't deliberately go out of my way to do that, but I do like Ecotech stuff. So I probably will always have their wave makers, their lights, and their return pumps. I like the Vetras as well. I've got an S2 and I've got an M1 as well, and I think they're really good. But no, I don't always do just one brand. There's certain brands that I like for certain things, but I will try out different. So I've got a Tunzi light in the sump, and I've got Tunzi power heads as well. So I like Tunzi as well. So I don't have that. Actually, when I think about it, I don't have that many different brands.
No.
Once I go to a brand and it works out okay. I mean, I've got the auto top off, the Tunzi one on that tank.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like Eheim as well. I used to like their heaters. I think Eheim are good, mate. And I've got a return pump on the 170, which is an Eheim. It's not controllable. And that's touch wood. That's a superb pump. They just run and run and run. They're really reliable. What about you, Steve?
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
Very, very, very similar to you, Paul, to be fair. I mean, like as you know, I've got the Ecotech lights, and I've got the MP10 and MP40, all Ecotech. Then I've got the Versa, obviously Ecotech, and then I've got a Red Sea skimmer, and then I've got the J-Bow DC 4000 return pump, which I must say, guy, I absolutely love it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I am swaying towards more of the Ecotech stuff. I don't know why, but I just think they're just fantastic. The way that everything's made, mate. You know, the way they're made, the engineering and everything and stuff, and like that Dulcet, like that Versa is just like it's just incredibly silent, mate. You know, it's like you can tell that the R&D that's gone into it, the work and everything is like top notch. But I mean, and I think over time I'll probably go to like I'll probably get the the S1 or something. You know what I mean? Because I don't, and that's what, because remember, I don't. I mean, remember you used to say, didn't you, that it should be 10 times turnover of your tank
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
don't have
like
to
that.
worry
You know,
about that
that's
anymore, do
myth.
you?
That's myth. It's myth, mate. It's myth, that isn't it now? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't tend to really on my tank. I bet I'm only pushing through maybe what 2,000, something like that, 2,200 or something. I let the water go through slowly, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the contact time that it has in the clarity and stuff like that, it's taking more. Whereas if it's rushing through it, it's not getting the time, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I tend to think so. I'm thinking I might go for the S2, and then over time when I save up some pennies and stuff, I probably want to change to the Dosa, the 4 Dosa or the Versa. Do you know what I mean? But they're a lot of money, so it's going to take a long time for me to save up for that. But I think that's probably what I'll do. And in the end, I will probably go with all Ecotech stuff because, like I said, I just think that it's just a great product. You know what I mean? I love it. I love like the way it is, the way they're made.
No, I agree. I was just thinking the other day because I've still got a Gen 3 light on one of the tanks, and that's been running for 8 years, and that is fine. I've got an MP40 that it's not Mobius because that's 8 years old, and I haven't done triggers brooming as much as I've replaced the dry side and I've replaced the wet side. It's still got the original on that side, so it's got the original. So I mean that's 8 years, and I know the Vortex. Well, people say they're quite expensive, but a power head that's last 8 years, and I just make sure it's cleaned and stuff like that. I can't argue with that. You spend whatever it is and whatever money I spend. In fact, that was second hand at the time, so I probably paid about 50% of what the actual value was then. So I've had my money's worth out of that stuff. The Nios skimmer, again, I've had that for about 6 years. No, that one's 8 years old. It's the 120. So again, that one. So I spent a bit more money, I think, than I could have, but it's good stuff. I mean, you've had J Cod, and I know we've talked about here about J Cod and return pumps, and we've talked about the power heads as well. They're really good value for
brilliant
for money.
Mate. If anybody, like you said, for anybody who wants a really decent pump, and I say, and I listen, I've only ever had one pump, and it died 4.5 years onto it, 4 years onto it, and that was my return pump, and I paid 69 quid for it, I went out and bought exactly the same one, but it's changed its name from J-Bow to J-Cod, and it's the same pump, J-Cod DC 4000, 89 quid, so it's jumped up £20 by inflation, but it's silent, mate. It's near silent. The noise you hear is the skimmer. You know what I mean? You don't hear the return pump. It's just deadly silent. But I always look at things, where if I bought like say the S1, I'll use that as a backup. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always great to have a backup of some sort. Do you know what I mean? Because how many times, something will fail in your tank. Maybe your return pump might fail, and it'll fail at night time when the shops are all shut. You know what I mean? So it's always best to have something on hand, mate. You know what I mean? And that's all I'll do. I'll wash it, put it away in its box, or or wait for a new tank or whatever and shove it on that, mate. Because it's a fantastic bit of kit. Those DC pumps.
But this is very true about the 10 times. It's a bit. I think Jay.
10 times.
I don't know if we did it on the live stream or whether it was on the WhatsApp group. Jay was talking about seeing a post where someone was saying you need X amount of kilograms of rock per whatever it was of water, and he hadn't heard of that before. But of course, years ago it was that if you've got 200 liters of water, now I come on, you need X number of kilograms or pounds of rock, and then now of course with all the other filtration you've got and everything else, you don't need that. There is a flip side though, because we don't have that much rock and we have dead rock and everything else. It does create a hell of a lot of issues, because I've been on Ultimate Reef this week and there's a few more posts about people getting dinos and their nutrients are too low and everything else and blah blah blah. Quite often it's down to the fact they're over filtering, so they haven't established the bacteria properly. They've let their nitrates and phosphate bottomed out. They've got a load of kit running, and they don't need all that kit running. I mean, someone
Exactly.
messaged me and they say, I've got a skimmer running, I've got a clavacy running, I'm cycling the tank. And I said, no, turn the skimmer off. You could break it in if you want, but don't have the clavacy running, blah, blah, blah. You actually want nutrients. You want some dirt in the tank because there's nothing in it.
Mate, I run my skimmer, but my skimmer only runs every other day. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't run all the time. It only runs every 2 days. My skimmer, but I've found that point now where the nutrients are around 10 to 12. Do you know what I mean? And that seems bang on. For my tank, it seems to be like spot on. 10 to 12 ppm of nitrates is just about right. You know what I mean? With it, and that's just by if I switch my skimmer on all the time. It'd probably be way lower than that. Probably maybe 3-4 ppm, and the corals just won't look as good. You know what I mean?
It'd be too clean for them, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it's too clean, mate. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go through some others. So, anyone keep rock nems? Can you keep with corals? Yes, you can. They do sting, but nowhere near as much as other nems, and they don't tend to move around as much. Yeah, 3D printed power head guards. Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely worth it.
Absolutely.
All NEMs gone to LLFS. Yeah, don't blame you. I definitely won't keep a NEM in a mixed reef. Yeah, rock flowers are beautiful. Absolutely.
Things to coral.
NEMs in Nano suicide. So frag and NEM 50% die, so they end up with the same number. It's a fair point.
Yeah, fair point.
Scott, generally, and happy NEM won't move. The problems come when they're too happy and they get too big, so they move. Yeah, so I think mine just haven't settled in. Now, whether that's Scott, maybe I do need a power head and there's not enough flow, and therefore they're moving around to get some flow. So that's a fair point. Just going to go through this. Someone says you can get a Tunzi Last Forever pump replacement, only 17 quid. Tony's put in there, do their own thing. It's like cutting a dog's tail off they were born with, and one leave it alone. Yeah,
absolutely.
Fair point.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
So there's one there. Are there any corals you can't dip for pests? I don't tend to dip chalices.
No.
Not because I find that when I did used to dip chalices, but they tend to lose their color. They come back, don't get me wrong, but they don't like it. But you find with a chalice, you can take it off the frag plug, just turn it upside down. And because their skin underneath is kind of a beigey color, you can usually see if anything's on there. I'm not saying you won't hide pests, but I tend not to dip chalice. I'm not too sure what else I haven't dipped.
John, that jelly bean chalice. It was John that said he was getting a jelly bean chalice.
I wouldn't dip it.
Do not dip that, mate. Do not dip that. No way whatsoever. Just have a look. Acclimate it just in your tank. Take it out. Just have a look. Just visually inspect it. Just have a look, mate. See if you see. Get a little toothbrush or something. Just scrub the bottom of it. Do not dip that, mate. I never dipped my rainbow chalice at all. You know what I mean? I just did exactly like what I just said. Look to the frag plug. Just give it a bit of a scrape with a toothbrush. Stuck it in my tank, mate. Just a very light toothbrush, and leave it there, because I'll tell you what, mate. You dip that and it's too strong. The solution that you do it just out of whack by a little bit, mate. It's game over. Trust me, they won't come back. And Scott from Future Frags told me that. He said it'll be game over, mate. I wouldn't even bother. And I took his advice, and it went from strength to strength. So I wouldn't dip them.
Yeah,
no chance.
That's a good question. Now, about to start at 170. Do I seed from rock from the other tank, knowing I've got Aptasia and bubble algae, or do I start new?
Never. Don't. I believe if you start with something bad on it, it'll get worse, mate. It's just gonna only get worse, and I think you'll get more complications with it. You know what I mean? I would start just from scratch, mate. Personally, I would do that. I don't know about you, Paul, but would you risk it? I mean, you hear more and more people talk about anemone, talk about Aptasia and stuff. How hard it is to get rid of once it's in your tank. You know what I mean? And there was I was watching a YouTube video. I can't remember who it was. I've saved them, and I always forget the names. But I watched it and he was like, "Oh, we've got a bit of a problem," and then he put it. He's showing you, and his rocks was covered in aptasias, mate. And he says he's done everything, but nothing is getting rid of it. You know what I mean? And he's coming to the case of like, do a start again, do a reboot it. You know what I mean? Because get all new rock, in there. And I don't know. I wouldn't. No chance, mate.
No, I agree.
But there's things that eat him, though, isn't there? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. You could get butterfly fish. You could get the nudibranch. You could get the aptasia eating nudibranchs, but you'd have to get a hell of a lot of them. You know what I mean? Depending on how many you've got. You know what I mean and stuff. So yeah, it's just peppermint shrimps. They tend to nibble on them as well, don't they? So
they do an
there's a few
aptasia.
things that you can get.
You got to balance up. You got to balance up around the tank starts quicker. You might have less of an ugly stage. It's stable quicker, that kind of thing. But then you have aptasia and bubble algae. On the flip side, you have a sterile tank, and then it takes longer to get the tank up and running. And you might have to be a bit more patient to get to the stage where your rock from your other tank would have been. So it's that kind of balance. It's really the balance around time, isn't it? And how patient you want to be or not be, I suppose. It's probably the thing you got to ask. Right, just going to go through some more customer services. Great, Red Sea. I'd want a full refund. I think that's what. Run into the Tunzi. Shops should replace defective. It's their responsibility. There's a few others here. Consumer Rights Act. Oh, it's not showing up. Consumer Rights Act 2015 only covers fit for purpose. Yeah. So there's a few comments in there, Steve.
Yeah. No, I'm going to take everything on board, guys. What you've all said.
Contractors with a shop.
And then I'm gonna probably give it another week, and then if not, mate, we're gonna get the ball rolling onto something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So Paul said about Eddie. Now I'm sure Scott. Because last time I spoke to Eddie, he was being made redundant. So I think has he left now?
Yeah, he's gone. He's been made redundant, mate. Yeah. He don't work there no more. Yeah.
That's a shame. I like Eddie, even though I've never been to Oasis. Scott introduced me to Eddie years ago when he was at a forum and stuff like that. He's helped me out on a number of occasions, and I've sent Zoas up to him and stuff like that. A lovely guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He helped me out a lot, mate, when I first started out. Him and Steve, a chap called Steve there, mate. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's both great guys. You know what I mean? Really knowledgeable and stuff. And I was gutted when he left. When he got made redundant. To be fair.
I know he's been there for donkey's years, hasn't he? I thought he
20 odd years,
sure
hasn't
he? Was it I don't know, 20 or 30 years? A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been there a long time, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
Really nice guy.
Cheers, Joe.
Right. Let's just going down. I mean, certainly whenever we talk about pumps and stuff like that, J-Cod or Jaboa, more J-Cod now, because I don't know if Jaboa even exists anymore, always get a good feedback, and people love them.
Absolutely, mate.
So there we go. What can Paul buy for his tank?
What can I buy for this tank? Tiger torch.
Tiger torch.
Tiger torch, mate. I don't. Oh, yeah, a tiger torch. Stunning them tiger torches, mate, but they're just absolutely insane prices. It's a bit like the Holy Grails, weren't they? Remember when they were like £350, £400 a head and all that, weren't they? Now they've come down. What you could get a head, single head for what, about £150 now or something.
What I've seen is more people selling multiple heads. So I've seen Holy Grail. I think there was one I saw today. Holy Grail. I think it was 3 heads. It was £200. We were sitting here 12, maybe 14 months ago. You would not have said that. So whilst most of the stuff in the hobby's gone up, absolutely. Yeah. But I think torches you can get a better value than you could get 12 months ago. And I've seen in LFS you can get gold torches for like 70 odd quid. Normal green ones for 40 odd quid. Now, whether it's because LFS are selling them a lot cheaper than used to try and bring the prices down, I don't know. I think the market's changed. It's still expensive. Don't get me wrong. You know, you're paying that much for a torch, 200 quid. That's still a lot of money, but it's not as much money as it
as it was. No,
absolutely.
no. But then again, though, I used to see some of the green torches for like 25, 30 quid a head. Yeah, but there was one at Kraken the other day, and I seen it. Beautiful. It was like literally you split it into a double head. Say it was going into a double head, yeah, but it was like £80, £90. You know what I mean for the green one? You know, yeah. And I was like, it was. I mean, it was a nice green, like did look like a toxic green, you know, really dead bright green, and beautiful coral. But it was like £90, and I'm like, oh god, yeah, still expensive, isn't it? You know, in a way, but you know what? It's what you're paying it. You know, considering you think about it, you can get. I've seen some holy grails for like 150 a single head. You know what I mean? £100 a head, £125 a head. You know what I mean? Going for dirt cheap. You know what I mean? Like you said, compared to 12 months ago. But I suppose it is what it is in the market. And I think the big thing is they're fast growing. That's why. My holy grail is the quickest growing torch I've ever seen. Honestly, I've got, mate, by a long shot. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think I've got 14 heads on it. Yeah. Whereas when I fragged it, 3 months ago, I took 5 heads off it. So it was down to about 7 or 8 heads. And it's grown about another 6 heads on it, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Within like 4 or 5 months. So 4 months or so. So it is very, very quick growing. You know what I mean? For sure. So,
but I think it's the conditions in your tank, though, because as we said before, where you're to and you've got flow from both sides, it's not obstructed by anything. So the gold torch that I've got in the floating aquascape, that is actually just popping heads because it's quite high up, or should I say it's in the open water, so it's getting flow from bad side. Other torches that are a little bit more restricted on the flow, they've got other things around them, they're not popping heads anywhere near as much. So I do think having decent flow and it's open in the water column definitely helps.
Yeah, you could be right there, Paul. It would be interesting, like you said, definitely to know 100% how they do grow, you know, like why they do that. But like you said, it probably comes back to like, you know, your nutrients and stuff like that, and you know, everything that's in your tank, full stop. Do you know what I mean? Your lighting, like you said as well. Because when I had my torches higher up, don't get me wrong, they look nice, yeah. But since I've moved them down on the floor, they look even better now. The gold especially seems to have gone a deeper gold than what it was when it was higher up. If you'd have come to my house when they were on there and you've seen it, you'd have gone, oh, they're nice, them. Yeah, really, really nice, yeah. But then you came to the house this week and you'd have seen them down here, you would have definitely said they've changed, that it's changed a different colour. Seems to have gone a bit darker, like brighter gold. And I think it's just by moving it down from there, one place to another, which is slightly lower in par. You know what I mean? Which is crazy, isn't it? But it fascinates me. That's what I love about this hobby, mate. Because everything changes, doesn't it? Everything in your reef changes over time.
You say that gold torch that's on in the aquascape. I fragged one piece of it and I put it in the tank next to it, and it was brown with green tips. And I think it was Darren who popped round to pick some corals up, and I said to him about it, and he couldn't believe the fact it looked like a completely different torch. And now what I have noticed the last week, I mean, I fragged that probably about 2 months ago. The last week, you can just see it starting to turn gold. So obviously it's gone to another tank. Didn't like the fact it's got different parameters, even though it's the same salt, you've got different dosing, different lighting, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't like it. It's getting a lot more flow as well. It didn't like it at all. And now it's beginning to settle and you can just see it starting to turn color. And I saw a post the other day. Someone said, oh, I bought this torch from someone and it looks a completely different color. Now it could be it's a different torch and they've been missold, or it could be it's gone into their tank. Because if someone had sold me that as a gold torch and I got it through the post and I put it in the tank, I would have said I've been mugged off, because there's no way it's a gold torch. But now, actually, I know it is, because it was a different color in the other bloody tank next to it. So I definitely know. So it just shows you that you it shows you how much difference the parameters you've got and the lighting and everything else can and make that. And especially with, I find with SPS, you see, if I see an SPS in AAC and I bring it home, I know it's going to change color because the conditions that the lighting that Paul has them in and stuff like that, I put it in my tank, it will change. It might come back to the color that Paul has, it might adjust, or it might never come back. And that's the risk that you take, that especially if you buy it from a place where they're really on top of things, the colors are really popping. You've got to try and recreate that in your conditions. So it's not always easy if you're buying from a really good place.
No, I agree.
Right, let's just move on. Sun corals, not good to dip. And then Mickey Boy is saying about chalice don't have a pest. What I have found in a couple of chalices that I've bought from other people underneath, vermitid snails can sometimes grow underneath, and also astraenas. They love to go underneath. So I always flip them because sometimes you can find a really small vermitid snail or astraena as well. So that's why I always check that. So that's what I was kind of referring to on that. Right, let's go down. Yeah, I think this was a comment in terms of the NEMs.
Yeah,
definitely. You in a smaller tank, then it's going to nuke it. In a bigger tank, 500, you might have more chance of it being diluted. But it's a fair, that's fair point. And then Woody's saying I'd rather start from scratch. So that,
be that Aptasia rock,
Dinos, that's a massive topic just on its own.
It is.
From what people, there was on Ultimate Reef, there's a thread on there, and there's loads of arguments. People saying UV, other people saying use Dino X, other people saying use phytoplankton, get your nutrients up, and stuff like that. That there just seems to be so many different ways that you can solve it, but also what people are saying, there's such a different variety of dinos.
Dinos,
and depending on which one it is, will determine how you treat
it.
Sorry, Hayley, it doesn't help you, and we probably haven't got the time to go through all the detail of it. It really depends. People are saying put it under a microscope. There's some really good sites. There's some saying I think if you look on Facebook, there's a group on there where they cover it off, and I think they'll help you try and identify the type of dinoflagellus that it actually is. Personally, I've only had it where I've started up tanks and I've totally ignored it, taken the nutrients up, and it's always gone. Touch wood, I've never had it in a mature tank, maybe because my nutrients have always been quite high, or maybe I've just been lucky. I don't know. But it's not easy to get rid of it.
No, true.
There we are. I've got Aptasia. Pretty sure I always have Aptasia. I've got pet shrimps. They keep on top of them. But they are in the weir, in the sump. I had it in the 900, and I've got a peppermint shrimp in there. I actually emptied the sump. I cleaned the sump. I left the sump clean for 48 hours. So I just dosed everything manually in the display tank and everything else. Then I put it back in, and everything was okay in the sump. But funny enough, it was in the sump, but not in the weir, which was really weird because I expected it to be in the weir, but it wasn't. So that's the only way I think you can get rid of it, in the sump, unless of course you put other things in there. But if you put a pep in the sump, it's likely then to go from chamber to chamber and then get chewed up by the return pump. I don't know, but what do you think, Steve?
No, totally agree, mate. I mean, to be where Ailey says there, I haven't got any Aptasia touch wood in my tank, apart from the way, and I've got one of the biggest ones. It's like an anemone, mate. It's like a huge anemone in the way, and it's about halfway down. If you shine a light, a torch into it, you can see it. Obviously, there's no colour to it. It's as dull as they come, but it's absolutely massive. But because it's not being irritated, and it's not spitting anything out, you know what I mean? So I keep it there in the dark. It's in the dark, getting fed a few bit of the nutrients that go through the overflow stuff, and that's it, mate. It keeps it happy. And touch wood, it's I'm not even there. I was going to use, like Scott said, Aptasia X onto it, but I thought, why? Just imagine it, and then it exploded and then released all its eggs and spores into it. No, listen, just leave it like that, and it's good to go, mate. try not to irritate aptasias if ever I got them, but yeah, I've been lucky with them, to be fair. I've had a few aptasias, but I've had the peppermint shrimps when I added two
They do a good
to the
job.
tank.
Yeah.
They just ravaged them, mate, and I never really seen any of them, to be fair. And then sadly the peppermint shrimp died. You know what I mean? Not obviously straight after, but like, you know, a couple of months later and stuff. So I don't know whether they just starved or what. I don't know, but they just passed away. But they did the job. You know what I mean? But yeah, peppermint shrimps. If you get the right peppermint shrimps, mate, the right ones that eat them, real ones, yeah, you can't go wrong with them. You know what I mean? They do go to town.
Then we've got a couple of comments about yellow tangs and how cheap they used to be.
Oh no, God, tell me about it.
I don't know how much they are. I haven't seen so many recently, or maybe I just haven't noticed them.
No,
but I don't know how much they are. I don't know if they're 150 quid still or 200 quid.
Yeah.
So if anyone's seen any recently, I haven't looked out of them, to be honest. But, yeah, I remember my first one. In fact, I've still got the one that's 40 quid, but it's not in the tanks I've got here. That's at AAC until I get a bigger tank.
Oh yeah.
So Paul's looking after that one. And no, John, you can't have it. Right.
John wants it. John wants it to go with his. John wants it to go with his new jelly bean chalice, mate. That's what he wants, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think yellow tangs are reef safe when it comes to chalices. I don't know. Maybe one out there does like a bit of a munch on a chalice, but
oh yeah.
Right. Okay, we're just gonna go through it. I'm picking up funeral calls from a tank breakdown. She's giving me a Lobo free. Can you dip a Lobo? I've never had Lobos before, so I don't know, but I'm sure people will tell you if you can dip a Lobo. I've never kept them, so I don't know. Have you had Lobos before?
I had one Lobo fully, yeah, but I never dipped that. I never dipped it, mate. No, I never.
Yeah, so I don't know. If anyone knows the answer to John's question, if you haven't put it in the because I'm behind as usual. I'm only about 7 minutes behind, but yeah, if anyone can tell John, that'd be useful. There you go. Yeah, I agree. SPS color based up on the conditions a lot of the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, SPS. Yeah, KH is king for SPS color. I think your Irish guy, the one below. I think you're right there. I think stability really, especially with K8 with alkalinity. You know what I mean? If it's stable,
yeah,
then yeah, I have to agree with that. To be fair, since like I've got like that KH keeper dialed in since dosing Calquasso, like I've said before, my alkalinity goes like literally 0.05 fluctuation all the way through the day. You know what I mean? Through 24 hours, it's got it that dialed in nowadays. I actually can tell, like at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, I know exactly what it's going to be at. You know what it's going to be at because it's near enough identical every solitary time at 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I mean, some people test theirs every 2 hours or so. I only test mine every 4, but obviously when I set it up and I started it, I was testing every hour to make sure I dialed
just
it in.
To dial it in and everything else like
just
that.
To dial it in. Yeah, just to dial it in. And now I seem to have hit that sweet spot where, like I said, I know exactly what it's going to be at certain times. I don't even need to look at the KH keeper. So yeah, it's good when you like that, when you've got it dialed in and it's thing. I enjoy it. You finally think that you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Especially with KH. It's one of those parameters that you just need it to be dialed in. Magnesium and all that and stuff. Yeah, it's so not irrelevant, but it's not as important. I don't think. You know what I mean? As opposed to the KH.
I agree. And then there's some comments about anything below 9 for color. I swear by heavy blues.
Yeah.
If you want the color from SPS, run your DKH at 6.8 to 7.2 and use Aqua Power.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't run mine that low.
There's not
much fluctuation, is there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not much leeway in it. God forbid, what happens if it so what happens to your pump? You know what I mean? You've not got much leeway there, have you? So say you want to dose anything,
but if it goes down slowly, but Steve, it goes down slowly. I've had Alka 5.2 before, and then because I used to run the tank that was here, I used to run it at 7. The whole time I had
Yeah.
the tank, I can't remember why I run it at 7, but I'd run it at 7. And, you know, grew and everything else. And if I'd forgotten to top up the alk and it went down. So it went down to 5.2 before. And I just gradually, because it went down over time. And then, so it didn't all go down in one day. I then brought it back up to 7. So I get what you mean about you got more buffer on it. But those SPS were fine. And I was dosing, 220 mils a day. To be fair, I'd spotted it about 3 days later or something like that. I can't remember. So it wasn't, you know, if it'd been a long time, then I probably would have been stuffed. But, you know, it can go low and the tank will still be okay. I think it's how big the swings are and how quickly the swings are that makes the difference. But I get why people keep them at 8, 9, because they think, well, if there's a problem, you've got a buffer zone in there.
Well,
but they can go down. Yeah. I've had an interesting post on things and adding copepods. So yeah, I've seen about copepods and then using phyto as well, because that feeds the copepods and it's just getting life into it. But exactly. You need to know which type of dino it is before you treat using microscope. Yeah, absolutely. Most you can't justify running tanks low, although I do agree lower is nice to cut a person run. Yeah, I run mine at 8.3 now because I do a lot of water changes, and the Red Sea blue bucket is around about 8.3. So I naturally keep, and also I'm not dosing much. When you're dosing quite a lot, then you could keep it at 7, and I kept it easily at 7. I'm only like dosing 8, 10, 15 mil, 2 different tanks. So it's harder to keep it. I suppose you can keep it at that level, but if I'm doing water changes, I might as well keep it to the salt. But what else we've got? I can't. Yeah, spot on. Work and laziness has taken down the videos. Yeah, I was speaking to Paul the other day. I've seen some of his pictures on Instagram. Tank's looking really good.
Yeah, some growth in it, serious growth. You know, when you look back at on his last video, and then you see, you know, like the growth difference from when he started out in stream.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, the monitors are just grown absolutely insane, aren't they?
They go 3 litres to calc, perfectly stable at 7.68. I'm assuming calc is still working for you, Steve. We didn't really talk. I mean, I was only with you about 25 minutes. We didn't touch on calc at all. I was too busy looking at the tank. But I'm assuming calc is bang on still.
Oh, I'm loving it, mate. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is not so much like the reduction of like the aquaforest stuff that I'm using. I think it's the biggest point that I can take from it really is the pH. The pH is just crazy, mate. You know what I mean? If ever you're suffering with low pH, it's just I think it's a godsend in a sense. I mean, like I said, my pH doesn't drop below 8.2. Sorry, I seen it the other day. It went to 8.18. You know what I mean? That was the lowest I've seen it. The rest is 8.2. Then it goes to 8.35, 8.38, 8.39. But then I've got it linked to my apex, so like I said before, where it'll shut off if it goes above 8.4. So I don't want it to go above 8.4. But yeah, I mean, a massive takeaway from it is like the pH has just gone crazy, mate. I love it. I love that pH, and it's definitely seeing benefits in the tank with growth for sure. You know, it's just really pH definitely grows your tank. That is 100%, 100%, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing if you've got a frag tank, you can frag them. But if you've not got a frag tank and you're throwing them or you're putting them in the graveyard, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's a bit sad.
We did talk about the fact you're going to have to really trim back those SPS.
Yes, I am, mate. At some point, I will really need to. But like I said, I don't really want frag racks in my tank, and that's the difference. You know what I mean? So it is one of those things. For the time being, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Nudie branch, use those. I've never had. I've used them. Only ever used those once, and I didn't have success with them. But I know people that do have success. They're absolutely brilliant. But of course, once they eat all the Aptasia and then die off because that's all they eat. So you can't really. Well, you can. Can you keep them long term? I suppose you can if you continue to find Aptasia in the tank. But once they're gone, they're gone. And in Scotland, I find any lower than 8.3. 2 days of increased sumption. Bank holes go from the tip space. Plain safe these days. Yeah, fair enough. UV kills spores. There's a tank on YouTube that the sump is only filled with apps. They say it's one of the best filters out, but there is not one in the display because, yeah, that makes sense.
Wow, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're probably in there hiding, but of course the copper bands get them. And of course, if you don't notice them, it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then John's got a yellow tank for 10 quid. This must be relating to dinos, I think.
Somewhat.
And just talking about using UV. I think that's what it relates to. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Talking about spores.
I mean, I've always used the UV. Always, mate. I don't know about you. I've always used the UV.
I've never used a
day one,
UV.
mate.
Yeah.
Day one, I shoved it on my 170, and it looked the same UV actually, the same one I've got. Yeah. And I shoved it in the 170, and I shoved it when I sold that. I put it on this one straight away, and I've never touched wood. I've never had any issues with anything like that. You know, like dinos or anything like that, really. And can I say that it's down to the UV? Probably not. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I'm sure it definitely helps by killing. You know, or like Scott said, weakening spores and stuff. It must do something. You know what I mean? Because if it didn't, surely, Scott, I think the majority of us will get some sort of, you know, parasites or bugs or anything like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've always run. I believe in it. I think, and I change the bulb out of mine every 6 months on mine. Even if you can still see it lit, but I mean a bulb costs what, 8 quid, 9 quid or something. Just take it out and shove a new one in, mate, and it's just it just helps. It's bright because it's like you said that the bulb, the bulbs. It's like the the light fixtures over time they deplete. You know, they're not as strong. So you just change them out and just put a new bulb in there. And touch wood, I've never had any issues with by running UV all the time.
So I've never had a UV. I've never really thought of UV for fighting kind of dinoflagellates, and it can be. I'd have one if I had a tank that had quite a few tangs in. I would probably get it for that because you have to. I don't know too much about UV, but there's a different flow rate, isn't there? If you want to help fish with disease compared to dinos and stuff like that, I don't know too much about it, but there's different flow rates, isn't there? If I had a tank where I had multiple tangs or more sensitive fish, I probably would use a UV.
Yeah,
but I've only had one tang for a number of years. Before that, I had two bigger tangs, and then I offloaded them anyway. So that's the only reason why I'd get it. But I know some people that swear by and they wouldn't have a tank without UV. But I can understand why people have them like yourself.
Yeah.
So our bumblebee snail was safe in a mixed reef. So I've always kept them, and I've not had a problem with them. I've heard people say that they've eaten zoas before, but I've never noticed them. I've got 10 in the floating aquascape, and I've got another 10 in here, and I've never noticed them. I mean, they eat things close to the corals, but I think they're just eating off the rockwork and that. But I've never noticed, that zoa's disappeared, or that frag looks like it's unhappy because it's been eaten.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they don't, but I've never noticed it, Tony. What about you, Sto?
No, I agree, mate. I mean, to be honest, my bumblebee snails, they only ever come out in the evening at night time, when everything's gone to bed. So, I think I've got tons in there now. I did start with 10, but there's way more than 10 in there now. They don't know if they've had babies. They must have had babies as well. I don't know, but there's way more than 10 there. I'd probably go as far to say there's maybe 25 or something, 25 or something in there. But yeah, you see them out at night time going around doing the business, you know what I mean? But they do eat vermits and snails, don't they, as well? You know what I mean? Or they can tend to munch on them, so keeps them down, keeps the pests down.
Yeah. Then we've got some comments about the KH. So Paul's run at 4 when he was away on holiday, 5.2 KH shame.
Wow.
There you go. Gotta love dirty water. Don't water change, but Reef's Elements 2-part is awesome.
Dirty water.
We've got someone from all the way from Costa Rica. So thank you for watching. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
How is the Nano Peninsula going? So I love it. I must admit, I do like a Peninsula tank now. I prefer the shape of it to the Red Sea Reefer 170, even though it's got a kind of 50% less water in the display. I'm loving the shape of it. I think it's a really nice tank. The build's really good. I probably will replace the auto top off because it's only done 2 liters. So I've got a new auto top off. So I'm going to sort that out. I think the light's really good. I do like the Red Sea LED 50. I think it's got a good shimmer. The light looks really good. The return pump's now beginning to bed in a bit more, so it's not as noisy. So that's good. The skimmer has quietened down. I don't think you need a skimmer on a 100 litre, personally. I run it at night, probably just more out of habit than anything else. Don't run it during the day, but I would, and the cabinet's pretty good as well. So I think it's a really good tank. And if I was starting out again, I'd be a hard time about, would I go with this tank or would I go with the Red Sea Reefer 170? The only reason I'd go for the 170, because I like a sump tank. You can hide everything away. You can put a skimmer in there. Because I'm used to a skimmer and bigger kit, I probably prefer the 170 over there because it's a sump tank. But in terms of the shape, I like it. And if Red Sea did a 3-foot Peninsula, I think that would be a beautiful tank. I really would. I'd really like a 3-foot Peninsula. I'd probably, if there was a 3-foot one out by Red Sea, I'd probably upgrade. And Jill would prefer it because Jill hates this tank. My wife, she can't stand it. It's too small. But that's a different story.
We might start calling you Carl. We might start calling you Carl from now on.
I hope
upgrading your tank.
Yeah, I will. There will be another tank, won't there? I don't know when, but there will be in the next year or so a different tank. But we'll see. So no, I've not had any problems. The auto top off, I think, is probably the biggest problem because you have to top it off so quickly. In terms of advice, I just take your time. Just take your time. Don't rush. Yeah, go on, Steve.
Exactly. With an auto top up though, good thing with it is you could put it around that you could put, because you've got enough space down in the cabinet. You can put like a 25 litre jerry can or a 10 litre, and then feed it at the back, wouldn't you? And then just put.
That's what I'll do.
You'd never see it, would you? It'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And a 10 litre would last you quite a while, wouldn't it? I would have thought. It's sure there's not much.
It's about 1 litre a day. So yeah, that's depending on what on the size of the on the container you've got. I mean, I don't mind. I top this up every 2 days, which is a pain. But
so a 25 litre jerry can will last you a month near enough.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I could easily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like it. I think it's a really good tank. I like the way the Gen 2s, they've reinforced, they've put plastic all the way down there so you can't
I love that.
Yeah, you can't use your blade and you can't cut into the silicon and stuff like that. So I think that's really, really good. So the look of it is much better than the 170. You can see they've stepped up their game in terms of the manufacture of the tank.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would recommend it. So yeah, well, where are we? What else have we got? So hopefully that helps you. And thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
So ozone, I gotta say, I know absolutely zero about ozone, other than if you do it wrong, it can be unhealthy for you, and that's probably the extent of my knowledge of ozone.
Yeah, that's about mine as well. To be fair, with the ozone.
Yeah. Yeah. How about a magnetic rock instead of frag rack? That could be an option.
Funny you should say that, because I was only speaking to my missus the other day actually. And I said about utilising my frag racks, but in a good way. And while I was at Crack and Corals the other day, they had this. I'm sure it was calypsy, but it was calypsy frag, like rock frag bits, so broken bits off, And I thought to myself, I wonder if I can make exactly like what you've done there, Paul, and in your floating scape, make like some floating like rockscape, but on my frag rack. So basically glue it on the frag rack, and then stick it on the back wall, you know what I mean? And then put corals on the back of it. So it acts like another piece of rock in one sense, do you know what I mean? So utilize it like that, do you know what I mean? But when I went to buy them, somebody had bought the last box, so I couldn't buy them. So I'm waiting for them to come in. Well, that might be a new project, another project that I'm going to do, and stick it just the one of them, and stick it on the right and on this left hand side here,
Yeah,
and see how we go. You know,
that's a
like
good
maybe
call.
just like some floating, some rock, yeah. Well, actually, as if it's like dropping like a waterfall down. It'll look nice. I know I've got it in my head what it'll look like. Whether it'll actually come out like that, I don't know, but I've got it in my head. But I think it'll be good. And then just stick a few corals on it and see where we go.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think you could do it that way. It's not worth getting a little floating shelf that I've got and sticking. It's not worth it doing that.
No.
It's funny talking about the floating aquascape, because there is someone that I know of who's got a floating aquascape, and they had their shelf made out of glass, and they tested it and everything else, and it was okay. And the guys had it running nearly as long as I have, and the glass actually broke. So
wow.
Where he had it as made of glass, and the strength of it's obviously given way under the rock and the weight of the corals and everything else. So he's not too sure what he's going to do on that. What I said to him, you might as well get a piece of acrylic C-shaped, put it across the back, and just have it wedged. So you kind of goes, that would hold it up. That goes on the back, and then that goes in the base like a letter C. Shove it in and
like a C. Yeah.
That's only a risk. I mean, I think also use quite heavy rocks. I always think man-made rock, if you had a look at it, if you had something like 6x6, for example, it's a lot heavier than if you get dead rock. So there's a lot of people actually after dead rock rather than getting the man-made rock, because it's more porous, and actually it's a lot lighter. And I've noticed that if you've got a rock that was, you know, a certain size, it would be a lot heavier if it was like real reef rock than if it was dead live rock, which seems a bit weird if you say dead live rock. You think, what the hell is that? But
exactly.
And I've got loads of it still. And I was thinking of selling the dead live rock, because I've got a massive tub in it out there. And I'm not going to sell it, because if I set up a new tank, I don't want to get real reef rock or something like that, because it's quite heavy. I'd rather get this porous rock, put it in bleach, leave it out, and then seed it. So there seems to be more demand for that. There we go. John says, anyone buying an RODI unit, don't buy a pressure gauge. I have the 1/4-inch fitting one you can have for free. Be nice. Thank you for that. Drippy wants an update. This is like a weekly update. If you don't ask me, then Jay asked me. So all I can say is watch your space. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter.
He said that last week.
I know I did. I'm going to keep on saying it. Having said that, I tell you what, have you seen, which is quite exciting, you've got the Aqua Show in Telford in October. That's going to be a big event.
Yeah.
And then I think it's Radical. Is it Radical Reef? What's the shop up in Leeds?
Radical,
Radical
Reef,
he looks like he's organising with some others an event next July, I think it is, in Leeds. I don't know how many days it's over, so that looks like it'll be quite a big event. So all of a sudden,
you've got Finest, haven't you? Is it in April, the end of April? You've got Finest as well. That's a big event as well, mate.
Oh, they're doing their anniversary, aren't they?
In Widnes, the Finest event. I think is it the 29th or the 30th?
I think it's the bank holiday weekend, is it? Because usually a bank holiday end of April. So
it's one of them.
So
it's definitely, it's 2 days. It is. So that
so
looks
at last, we may well get some what I call the big reefing events.
Yeah.
So I've been to before. I've been to Aqua before, but that was the trade one. I'm looking forward to that one in October. That'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I am myself, to be fair. Can't wait for that one. That'll be really, really good. Especially now, like you said, the public can go in.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not just about marines. It's all different things, isn't it? You know, like we said last week, fresh water. You know,
that'd be quite nice as well.
Stuff. It's going to be interesting to learn a bit about everything. Absolutely,
planting tanks and seeing all that. That'll be
absolutely. Yeah.
So that'd be really good. Right, let's see what we've got. Yeah, why don't I drill it? I think if I was going to have, I like it as the all-in-one. If I want a tank with a sump, I just buy another tank with a sump. I'm not being funny. For me to drill and mess around, I'd do it wrong. I'd end up cracking the glass. I'd rather pay someone else to do it. I must admit. I know you've done. I'm sure, Woody. I'm sure I've seen, and you've said before about you've taken an all-in-one and you've made it into a sum tank. And if someone can do that, then fair play. But it's just not for me, I must admit. And then dippy soap. Well, I'm sorry, it might not be good enough, but it's all you're gonna get. All you're gonna get. As soon as I've salted, if I do salt, then yeah, you find out. Don't sell any your dead right. The price has gone for yeah. Absolutely, I'm not getting rid of it. I've got 2 big containers just stuck out in the garden, and they've got moss growing on and all that things. I'm not fussed because I just clean them off. Was really good, yeah, because I think it's their second birthday, isn't it? I'm sure that's what the event is.
The second one,
yeah. I'm sure, Mickey Boy, you said you're gonna you and Nick, aren't you? You're gonna be showing at Telford, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So that should
that'll be good.
That should be really, really good. And then chicken.
Yeah.
I think Haley just about sums it up there.
Definitely, it's the nail on the head with that one. I couldn't do that, mate. No chance. You know what? To be honest, when I was cutting my my sump out, to add my clarity, and I had to cut away at the where the socks were originally, and I was cutting away with that with a Stanley knife, and I was crapping myself, mate, thinking if I swing on this glass a bit too much, and it cracks the actual pane of glass, game over, isn't it? What am I going to do? I can't get a new sump kind of straight away. So what could you do? You just have to throw the heater in the main display and just have it at that, and there's no return. That's what you'd have to have. You know what I mean? I was crapping it myself, so there's no way I would drill a tank ever. I'd do it like you said, Paul. I'd just buy another one, buy another tank. Simple, it's easier.
Absolutely. And he's not giving up, is he? And then one small exclusive reveal for the people tonight. Well, if something happens, it will happen soon, and then you'll see it on social media. There we go. That's as far as I'm taking it, because I don't want to say things and all of a sudden it falls on its arse. If something does happen, but we'll see. I have to drill tanks every week. Yeah. So you do it every week. Out of every 100, how many crack? Do you ever do it wrong?
Yes, that will be interesting.
Because if you do, it's going to be an expensive mistake, isn't it? Or do you do it before? Or do you drill it before you put the tank together? So if you mess it up and it cracks, it's one pane of glass that goes, and you haven't got to start again. So be interested to know. No,
not in 8 years. Oh, hey, professional. Is the Michelangelo of tank building, isn't it? That's what he is, mate. I tell you.
Yeah, and Mickey, I'll phone you Monday. I got your message, so I'll phone you Monday, Tuesday. I need to have a chat with you. There we go. We want more. I've got no more to give. Look, it's 2 minutes. I'm out of gas. I'm out of gas, Strippies. If you'd asked me at 8 o'clock, I might have been able to give more, but I've just got no more left.
He's going to be on at 8 o'clock next week. He's going to be on it any morning.
He's going to be on a 7:45, and then I'll just say I've missed it. So if you see it, Steve, you can't put the comment on, and it means you will.
Put it out. Hey, don't bring me into it, mate. Don't bring me into it.
Yeah, so do I. So I think we will. We're playing some good football at the moment, actually. But thank you for that. And I swear, no, I believe you.
Absolutely.
I've never done it before, and it was on a 7 foot. I can imagine, Haley. I can feel your nerves.
Yes, no chance.
None in 16 years. It's easy. I always say it's always easy when you know how.
When you know how, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The issue,
what they always say? They always say,
do you go there and find out whether it's easy or not on the first time? Yeah, go on.
Exactly. No, they always say that. Like in my job, what I do in my job, it's like when you first pass your test, and you do what's called like route learning, and you route learn the loop, the routes what you go on, And people always say that. So they always say, "Oh, it's easy. It's really easy." You go, "Yeah, it's easier if you know the routes and you live around there. Of course, it's easy. Everything's easy if you know it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it always makes me laugh when people say that. It's easy. Mickey boy, yeah, it's easy. It's easy, yeah. I wouldn't like to try it, mate. I guarantee you I'd crack it. There's no doubt. There's a technique to that sort of thing. Mastery is of doing it. You know what I mean? No chance would I do it. I couldn't do that. 100% I'd crack it.
Yeah. I must admit, I'd like to make a small tank, like a small peninsula, only it's kind of like a foot and a half long. And just I'd have to keep it in, I'd have to keep it somewhere just in case it's split and I'd sealed it wrong. But I would like to try my hand at making a small tank. I'd done the acrylic one, didn't I? But that's a bit different. But I would like to,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really serious about it. It was 1 litre and I never got it wet. But if I had, I would have put it on a tray. So if it leaked, it wouldn't make any difference. But yeah, I must like the idea of making my own tank. Whether I ever will or not, I probably haven't got the gumption to do it.
Yeah,
Hey, I tell you what, I wouldn't mind a trip up there.
Absolutely, mate.
I'll ask you. I don't know where you are, Mickey boy. So when we speak on Monday, Tuesday, I would fancy a road trip. Come and see you. See how it's done. That'd be good. Right, absolutely. We are out of time. So thank you everyone for joining today. You made it so easy. There's been some great comments, loads of questions. I had a list of things just in case we run out of things to say, which actually, no surprise, we didn't. So some really good comments. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Steve. We're over with you next week, and you've got a giveaway, which will be excellent from from Phil. So that'll be greatly received as always.
Absolutely, mate. Look forward to it as always.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Have a good reefing weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
Take care, guys.